What exactly is a pivot table? Well, it's a tool in Excel that can help us summarize and analyze large amounts of data. It can help us pinpoint important pieces of information in a bigger population in a way that's easy and somewhat visually pleasing. We're going to learn how to build simple pivot tables and then explore some of their more useful and interesting features. But before we do that, let's start by simply looking at what a pivot table is. So in the next couple sections, we'll look at some pivot tables that have already been built and see how they can be useful. To start, let's click over to our Data List of Homes tab. This is the tab that has all our raw data. As you can see, it's simply a big list of homes for sale in different cities. You've got the street address in column A, city in B, state in C, zip code, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and a price. Now we could filter through this and pretty much find everything we wanted to, but the pivot table makes it much easier and much faster to see at a glance what our population is. So let's click over to the Finished Number of Properties tab. Now this is a simple pivot table and we'll explore the different elements here. Up at the top, kind of above the main table, are what we call report filters. And you see we've got city, state, and zip code. And then from rows 5 to 10 we have the actual table. And our pivot table is pretty simple. In column A, we're listing the number of bedrooms, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in row 6, we have the number of bathrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What we have in the intersection is a count of the number of rows at each intersection. So for the number of properties with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, there's 85 in our total population. The next couple of lessons, we're going to learn how to do all this. Right now, we're just looking at the functionality. So if I want to see how many houses have 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, that's 54. So now let's look at some of the functionality here. We talked about initially the report fields at the top of the table. Well, what we could do is we can click those drop downs and filter our list. So now let's look at our state drop down first. And you see we have all the states, and this list is built from our data. So we have houses in all of these states that are listed. Well, let's see how many total are listed in North Carolina. Since they're all selected, I can individually take checks off of them. Or I can click this select all, and that'll work like a toggle, turning them all on and off. And you see when I turn all the selections off, I don't have any rows displayed in my pivot table. So now I can see how many do I have in Arizona. Don't have any in Arizona right now. So what about North Carolina? There we go. In North Carolina, we have a pretty significant amount of houses. For number of bedrooms, it's 3, and number of bathrooms is 2. We have 80 houses. Let's click back there and let's see about South Carolina. Well, first take the check off North Carolina, then look at South Carolina. And see, South Carolina, the homes in our database, we only have 5 for that combination. If I want to see both, if I wanted to see both North Carolina and South Carolina together, I can do that too. There you go. So that's how those report filters work. And the other filters let you drill down on other things. Here's we've got cities. We could drill to a specific city or a specific zip code. So now let's go back and let's go ahead and clear this. So we're going to go to select all again so we have all of our data. So you can already see how the pivot table can help. We've got a really fast at a glance look at how many properties that are at the intersection of different attributes we set up, specifically bedrooms and bathrooms. Let's go to the city and let's pick Charlotte. And we'll see, we've got a fair amount of homes here. Now this is a good tool right now. We can see the number of properties at each intersection. But I'm going to show you one of the neatest tricks about pivot tables that many people don't know. This area here that's not a descriptive characteristic where we're doing the counts or the sums or whatever we're doing, that's called the data area. And anytime you have a number in the data area, you can double click it. Excel will go out to the source data and build you a brand new worksheet that has all the rows that made up that data point. So for example, let's look at the number of properties that have 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. There's 15. Now if I want to know what those are quickly, I can double click that. And you see what happened? Excel went to our raw data, and sure enough, we've got 15 rows. This first row is a header, so we've got 15 rows of data. And all of these houses have 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Let's try that again. How about on 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms? Should be 49. There we go, down to row 50, which is 49 rows, because again, the first row is a column header. And it keeps creating sheets. Now you could just go print these sheets out once you had them, or whatever, but it's just a really neat tool to see how to get your data from the pivot table. Okay, well now that we've looked at the finished properties tab, let's go and look at the finished property pricing. This pivot table has a couple different nuances in formatting, but it's kind of the same information. For our report headers this time, all I did was put state and city up there. I didn't put a zip code report header up there. Before we had number of bedrooms in column A and number of bathrooms were across the row headings. Well, now we don't have that anymore. We have the number of bedrooms and number of bathrooms, and it's in an outline view. We'll get to that in a second. But right now what we did is our first table just had a count of how many properties. Well, here we did another kind of aggregation. Anything in the data area, you can do an aggregation, and that's any function you can do to a lot of numbers. That's counting them, summing them up, finding the maximum value, finding the minimum or the average value. That's an aggregation. So what we've got here is, right now, for all the houses in our database that have 3 bedrooms, the minimum price is $94,414. The max price is $183,426, and the average price is $140,227. So this is a way to kind of, what we're doing in this pivot table is we're showing more than one metric for every data point, for every combination that you have with your descriptive characteristics. So you might say, yeah, that's good. I know what the average price is with 3-bedroom houses, but what about a 4-bedroom? And what's the average price between a 2-bathroom house and a 4-bathroom house? Well, here's what we can do. We have this pivot table set up like an outline. I can double click this 4 right here, or I can click on the triangle if it's showing and expand the number of bathrooms. And now it goes out and we've got 4 bedrooms and 1, 2, 3, 4 bathrooms. The other thing it did is those metrics automatically adjusted to be specific to exactly that row. So when we had this rolled up, this average price was for every house that had 4 bedrooms. Now when I expand this, I can look at a 4-bedroom house with 1 bathroom, and the average price is $151,245. How about a 4-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms? Average price is $189,281. You get a lot more granularity this way by building an outline. I can also go here and I can go ahead and show all the detail for all of my categories of bedrooms together. Here is, let's go ahead and let's pick a city. I'm going to take them all off, and I'm going to go down to, let's say I want to look in Gastonia. There's a fair bit of houses there. I don't have a count for the number of houses here anymore. I just have the price metrics. But let's say I was looking in Gastonia, and I looked at 3-bedroom houses with 2 bathrooms. And I see that the minimum is $130, the average is $132, and the max is $134. Just like the other pivot table, these are on the data section. If I double click on these, Excel will go pull all the rows from my source data and put them on another sheet for me. Okay, so let me double click on the minimum price. And you see there's 3 rows, and they're actually the same as the min-max, just about the same as min-max and average as far as price goes. One interesting thing about this, we've got the 40 Rex Avenue, 201 South Clay, and 128 West Main. Let me go ahead and delete this tab. And we clicked on the minimum price. What happens if we click on the maximum price? We get the same 3 houses. Okay? Rex Avenue, Clay, and Main Street. And the reason for that is all 3 of these metrics apply to 3-bedroom homes with 2 bathrooms. So they're all basing their aggregation on the same set of data. And that's why if I double click on any of these, I am going to get the exact same rows. So as you can probably already see, pivot tables are one of the most powerful and useful tools in Excel, and they can make huge amounts of data much easier to understand. So in the next couple lessons, we're going to learn how to build pivot tables and use some of their more advanced features.